friend, welcome to the Solo Health Journey. This is my first update. I gave you an introduction about why I'm doing this, and I was hoping that you could join me. So today I want to give you a little bit more detail of what happened this past month. I am tracking my weight, I'm tracking my food, I'm tracking macros. My body scan also gives me other measurements such as body muscle, body fat, and all of that good stuff. So tracking is going well, and I have all of those numbers. Still, with all of those, I believe that looking at myself monthly gives me a better overview of where I am and where I need to go. Okay, so let me tell you how all of this started. So August 10th, I was weighing 161.9 pounds, okay? I had been with Weight Watchers for many years. I noticed some changes in me. The program is always changing, which I'm okay with. I also saw some changes with the way they were conducting the program. And I looked at my life and I looked at where I want to go and who I want to be. And those two things were not matching. So I challenged myself to find something that works for me. It was scary. It was tempting to leave, because leaving something familiar, leaving something that's actually good and it does work, is challenging, is difficult. But I challenged myself to step out and just pivot, because my goals are more important than my comfort. So that was my main motivation. So I left Weight Watchers in April and I started just tracking my food on a food journal. I started with points because that's what I was doing. And then I switched to calories. In the summer, I made some good progress with my goals. But when it came to August, I started noticing that I was feeling like there was something missing. And to be very honest with you, it was calories. I felt like I wasn't eating enough calories. And that's funny, because you probably think you try to lose weight, how come you're not eating enough? The amount of working out or exercises that I do now and the type of it is different than when I started Weight Watchers before my kids were born. Then I was just walking, which is still one of my favorite exercises. Well, right now it's CrossFit 5 days a week, and I do a long distance run on Saturday. So that's 6 days a week of intense activity. And I have to fuel my body if I want it to perform well, not only during my exercise, but perform well during my life, like Monday through Friday. I have a family, I work, so I need energy to do all of that. So I felt like I wasn't eating enough. Weight Watchers couldn't give me that answer. So I found somebody, I actually paid somebody who could, which is an amazing local nutritionist. So my goal was to find the correct calorie range that I needed to eat. I wasn't sure of what that was. So what I did was I got many months of body scans with, my body fat, body mass, weight, all of that good stuff. And I gave it to the nutritionist. I also presented her with this, which is my food journal. And she saw how I was eating. So she took an expert look at it. She asked me a couple of questions. And she told me how many calories I was supposed to be eating for this season of life. On a good day, and the days that I was kind of tracking, I was prepping my food and I was exercising just as is described to you in order to fuel my life and exercise, I was missing around 1,000 calories. In my mind, I'm not feeling too bad, but I got to a point where I was just like, let me just be honest with myself. And I was just like, I have a suspicion that I'm not eating enough. And true enough, I was missing between around 1,000 calories. So that was my goal for August, to find out what the correct calorie range is. So I found out that number. Once I find out, stick with it. And my goal became lower your body fat, increase muscle, and then lower your body weight. And if you are an expert, you're probably thinking it is really hard to do all of these things at once. And I agree with you, but I had to write something down. So that's what I wrote down. That's what I wanted to do. Starting in August, once I saw that wonderful nutritionist, and I'll leave her information here in the show notes for you, and also on the blog, simplycintia.com, I decided to just experiment, because I went from really not eating enough to eating all the calories that I needed in order to fuel my lifestyle. The nutritionist and I talked about, what kind of foods do you eat? It was liberating, and I've talked about this before when she told me that there's not a limit on veggies. There's not a limit on fruit. You can't overdose on these amazing things that God created. And I was like, huh. So as I was planning my day, that was my second step. Now that I knew the correct calorie range, I was just like, let me insert vegetables in every meal. And to be honest with you, before I inserted at lunch and dinner, but everything else just like, not so much. I became good friends with spinach. I put a cup and a half of spinach on my protein smoothies. And that small change really added a lot to my life. My energy level increased. I feel better. And the only difference is I'm eating enough calories and I added way more colorful veggies into my days, and also fruits. Okay. August went by kind of slow because I felt like it was a whole month of experimentation with this. And by experimentation, it meant like I have to hit the calorie, target, and I have to make sure that I eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, a lot of proteins, a lot of carbs, a lot of fats, just make sure that everything matches. It wasn't perfect, but I gave it my best effort. Okay. So remember, my initial number was, let me look over here, my notes, 161.9. Well, a month later, my number is 158.8. Okay. So I lost 3.1 pounds in a month. What I wanted was, number one, to have expert advice on what I was supposed to do. Number two, take action steps. And with the action steps, I was honestly asking myself, how do you feel? So in my food journal, I would write down at the end of the week, all right, so how was food? How did food go? So this is my note from August 18th. I ate all but one pre-packed food. It worked to have everything ready to go. So what I do is I prepare all my food on Sunday, and then all I have to do is just get it out of the refrigerator and eat it, whether I'm at work or I'm here at home. And then I said, this week I ate out twice. I ate a little bit of dessert with my husband last night, and I'm proud of my resolve to stay away from extra sugar. And then my goal for that week was, next week I want to add a variety to my foods. The amount felt large, yet I felt fueled because my activity and my life really worked well with that number of calories. I also analyzed my tracking. I tracked one day. I pre-tracked what I prepped on Sunday. So I often do not write down every day what I ate. If I prepped all the food on Sunday, I know what I'm going to eat. So I just go ahead and pre-track. So that's what I did that week. This week was busy with work and with a sick kid. You never see that coming. Like if somebody's going to get sick, if they're going to need you. So this is something that pre-packing and pre-tracking my food really helps with. It just makes life easier. I truly did the best that I could with what I had. And that's the story of my life. With all the planning, all the dreaming, all the going to the nutritionist and getting expert advice, sometimes life just happens. And what do? You do what you can with what you have. So that's something that I am learning to be okay with, and just to keep going no matter what's happening, with a lot of self-compassion, and with knowing that, with the knowledge that I had a plan, I prepared, and then when it was time for executing, either my preparation made my life easier or it just didn't happen at all. And most of the time, when I look back over a month, my preparation really made this plan work in an easier way. I also analyzed movement. So that day I said I worked out 3 days instead of 5. I truly felt like I needed the gift of recovery. So I started this episode telling you that I work out 5 days a week, which is usually what I do. That week, I worked out 3 days. I had a sick kid. I had a lot of stuff going on. So the gift of recovery really helped me to bounce back. Every time that I did show up to work out, I had energy. I felt good. I didn't feel depleted when I stepped in the gym. So that was very needed. And lifting felt great during that week. What I don't want is for lifting or running to feel bad or to feel like it's a chore, because I am truly passionate about weightlifting and I am passionate about running. So I need to recover well and I need to fuel well. So it's like it's a chain of things: the nutrition, the working out, the recovery, the hydration, all of it works together. Water, it was a win that week. I will insist in reaching my intake goal during the weekend. What used to happen is during the week, Monday through Friday, I would drink all the water that I needed. But then when the weekend came, it was like, oh, forget about it. I just going to live my life. So drinking enough water every 7 days of the week just makes my life better. I feel better as well. And then last but not least, sleep. I felt rested, except for Wednesday. Wednesdays are hard days to get enough sleep because it's a church night, so we come home later than usual. So at the end of all of that, I always say, where do we go from here? And I set a goal for the week. So after a month of staying in the same level of calories, which I shot for my maintenance calories, okay? Just to see how I feel, just to see what happens. And I'm amazed that around the maintenance calories, I was able to lose 3.1 pounds. So this month, the goal is to take off a little bit more out of those maintenance calories. And now that I know what my range is, now that I know the top and how I feel in the top, and I know that at the very bottom where I was, how it feels, how I feel depleted, I'm like right here, okay, as far as calories go. So that's the goal for this next month, okay? So we are at 158.8, and I want to tell you a little bit about my long-term goal, which is 15 weeks from now, which is at the end of the year. So the goal is to get to 136 pounds by the end of the year, okay? I also have a range for that, as in I'm not obsessed with that number. But if I get to the end of the year and I'm at 143, 141, I'm going to be completely fine with it. How am I going to get there? I'm going to continue to track my food. I'm going to continue to pay attention to how much protein, carbs, and fat I'm getting. I'm going to use both a written down journal and I have an app that tracks my nutrient free. I'm going to stick with my exercise because I want to either maintain or increase my muscle mass, and I do want to lose fat. If there was a way that I could just close my eyes and just kind of squeeze every muscle in my body and say, fat, get away from my body now, I totally would. But that stuff doesn't exist. So honestly, as a regular person who's not a professional, but who honestly wants to have plenitude of life, just to be very fancy here, I think that decreasing the fat is just going to help me as a person, as an athlete, and that's one of the goals that I have, okay? And I have other goals, but I'm going to keep working out the same level that I am working out. In the fall, I'm going to start training for a half marathon, so I'm excited about that. I do have a 5K and a 15K coming up. And if you're new to simplycintra.com, you probably don't know this, but I am a distance runner. I have completed 7 marathons. I had to count 7 marathons. I think I'm at 7 half marathons. So the next one's going to be number 8. And the rest of the distances that I've done from 30Ks to 5Ks to 10Ks, I stopped counting. But I have tons of medals that I need to actually display somewhere at some point. But I love running, and I'm grateful that I get to do this. So I'm excited to train for a half marathon. I'm still going to stick with my training from my CrossFit gym. I'm very happy with the training, very happy with the instruction. And the challenge that I have for myself is to go to class, listen to instruction, and to be very positive. Because if I get there with the mindset like, I'm not going to do this, or there's no way I'm going to grow. So the goal is to get there, listen to instruction, obviously use wisdom, but I trust the coaches enough that I know that they program thinking about people like me who are regular people, but also who want to become better athletes. So that's the goal. Okay, I think that's all I have to say. I also want to tell you that I hope that you find inspiration in this series. If any of this registers with you, I would love if you could subscribe, and I would love if you could send me any questions, any suggestions of topics. I am not advocating for anybody to do exactly what I did, because this works for me and I'm an individual. I know 10 different people who have similar interests than I do, and they all do different things. So the story of my life is you do what you can with what you have, you find what works for you, and use this as inspiration, not as prescription, because you are unique. You have a season of life that is probably different than mine. And yes, you can still dream big. Yes, you can still achieve your goal, and we can inspire each other. But I'm not a believer that we should copy each other just because of the uniqueness that we all have and that we all carry. Okay? I'm gonna stop right now and just give you a chance to think about that and just to get in touch with me. I'm in every social media platform out there, and my blog's my home online, simplycynthia.com. And we'll see you with this series next month. Bye.